Right now, I'm in my church building. Every Sunday, in addition to a sermon, you can find dozens of people engaging in what's called small talk. Some people live off this stuff, while some absolutely despise it. But regardless of how you feel about small talk, being able to engage in a shallow conversation proficiently is a powerful tool in your belt. Communication as a concept is such an interesting one because it's impossible to detach yourself from it. It's impossible not to communicate. Now, you can refuse to speak, but that is by nature communicating the message that you don't want to talk. Unfortunately, for some people who swear off small talk, there are many situations where you are expected to engage in it. One of those situations is in church. Here's the kicker. According to Psychology Today, across the board, no matter whether you're an extrovert or an introvert, and no matter who you talk to, small talk is associated with greater happiness. And before you object and think you're the exception, the writer of the article, Andrew Beer, is an actual professor of psychology who doesn't particularly enjoy small talk. You may not like small talk, and you'd be in good company, but wouldn't you like to at least feel comfortable in those situations anyway? Oh look, here's someone now. They're using proxemics, which is communication with distance, probably in order to initiate small talk. As a rule of thumb, most conversations happen at between 2.5 to 4 feet, and this is called the personal space or zone. Anything outside of it is usually reserved for business, and anything closer is usually for only intimate relations. Watch out for distance. Don't blow their personal bubble, but also don't block them out either. If they start inching out of this zone, it's actually an indicator that they're aiming to end the conversation. This may be your green light to end the small talk, which we'll talk about later. If you're the one who initiated, or if the other person is expecting you to continue the conversation, you're going to want to use the perception tool of selection. This is where you zoom in on one thing that you've noticed about the person. What you decide to zoom in on is what you're going to use as fuel to fan the flame of the small talk. It can be about them, which usually works because people love talking about themselves, or it can be about the surroundings. Regardless, just pay attention to the other person. These opportunities present themselves when you're present. I've decided to zoom in on one thing about myself, like my shirt, and ask, wow, where'd you get it? Works every time. Selection also helps to avoid a big listening pitfall, stage hogging. This is where you take up all of the conversation by talking about yourself. Now this can make the other person feel left out or unimportant. So instead, try to bring the topic to them or to one that both of you can contribute to, like the environment. I really like the new wall painting the church added. Now, in allowing the other person to talk about things that interest them, there are going to be moments where you disagree or are generally displeased with your conversation partner. Social convention suggests that sometimes expressing how you truly feel about an opinion, especially when you disagree, is just not appropriate. Allow me to introduce a solution: equivocal language.
AI is completely useless unless it's in the field of science or medical engineering or whatever.
Equivocal language is the case when a statement can be interpreted multiple ways. The beauty of this type of language in small talk is that it can smooth over disagreements and prevent small talk from becoming an argument or uncomfortable discussion. There are ways where AI shouldn't be used.
Yeah.
Brilliant. You've just had a great conversation. Well, it's still going on, but you're ready for it to end. What should you do now? Well, you can use some nonverbal communication, like body orientation, to cue your desire to leave. Turning towards someone implies interest, while slightly turning or stepping away clues in on disinterest. We do live in a low-context culture. This means that America values being direct and clear in communication, so instead of relying a lot on nonverbal cues. This means that, due a lot to our environment, many people may not notice your nonverbal cues that you're done. This is where a polite, assertive salutation comes into play. Here are some polite goodbyes you can use in most small talk situations. If you actually do have somewhere to go or something to do, use that. The other person is usually very understanding. In that situation, you can say, it was lovely talking to you. I do have to get back to work, or I do have to find such and such and help them out, but I'm definitely going to talk to you later. The main thing is that you keep it positive, you keep it light, and you make sure you're genuine. Another goodbye that you can use, one of my favorites, is to initiate another conversation at a later date. Hey, it was so nice talking to you. We definitely have to meet up again. Would you like coffee or something? You can actually follow this up with planning, or you can just end it right there. It doesn't really matter. It ends the conversation, leaves the other people happy and satisfied. Last but not least, what you can use is the I have to go to the bathroom. So anyways, yeah, thank you so much for listening to my speech. I do have to get going. I hope you have a good one.